Christmas arrives, and you feel nothing. Not sadness, not depression, just silence. You sit at the table, smile when you're supposed to, laugh when someone makes a joke. But inside, there's only heaviness that doesn't hurt but still presses down. And the worst part isn't the emptiness, it's the guilt. Because everyone around you is performing joy, and you can't join them. The lights are too bright, the music is too loud, the cheer is too forced. You're supposed to feel something, hope maybe, warmth. But all you feel is the awareness that nothing changed. You're still you. David Foster Wallace said, "Everybody worships something, and whatever you worship will eat you alive." Christmas is the season when that worship becomes most visible. The worship of family harmony that doesn't exist. The worship of joy that feels manufactured. The worship of meaning in a season that's supposed to deliver it automatically. But meaning doesn't arrive on a schedule. You know this, but saying it out loud feels like betrayal. So you stay quiet, perform the ritual, and pretend the season delivered what it promised. But you can't shake the feeling that something's off. Milan Kundera wrote, "The unbearable lightness of being is the terror of living in a world where nothing carries weight." That's what Christmas exposes, the terror of realizing that no ritual, no belief actually changes the fundamental emptiness. What if Christmas doesn't fix anything? There's a passage in the Bible that no one reads at Christmas, a passage so uncomfortable it destroys the sentimental version of the story. Philippians 2. It says the God who arrived at Christmas didn't come to fix anything. He came weak, powerless, empty. Though he was in the form of God, he did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. Emptied himself. The Greek word is kenosis, to make empty, to pour out, to become nothing. Simone Weil wrote, "God could create only by hiding himself, otherwise there would be nothing but himself." God doesn't arrive at Christmas as fullness, he arrives as absence. Not absence of presence, but absence of power. Blaise Pascal wrote, "The greatness of man is that he knows himself to be miserable." Christmas inverts that. God, knowing himself to be infinite, chooses to become miserable, literally. Born in a stable to a peasant girl in an occupied nation, no armies, no protection, no divine intervention.
Fyodor Dostoevsky wrestled with this in The Brothers Karamazov. Ivan asks, if God exists and loves humanity, why does he permit innocent children to suffer? Christmas doesn't answer it. Christmas deepens it. God arrives as a baby, the most vulnerable form of existence, and the world doesn't soften. Herod still slaughters infants. Rome still occupies Israel. Poverty still crushes families. Arthur Schopenhauer said, "Life is suffering, and the attempt to deny that is the root of all illusion." Christmas doesn't deny suffering, it confirms it. God doesn't arrive to remove pain, he arrives to participate in it. Not rescue, presence. Not power, weakness.
Matthew 2 describes what happens after the wise men visit. Herod orders every male child under 2 in Bethlehem killed. The massacre of the innocents. And God, who just entered the world as a baby, doesn't stop it. C.S. Lewis wrote, "Go to God when your need is desperate, and what do you find? A door slammed in your face." He wasn't rejecting God, he was describing him honestly. Émile Chiron wrote, "The fact that life has no meaning is a reason to live. Moreover, the only one." Christmas confirms that. God arrives and nothing changes. The violence continues. The oppression continues. Birth doesn't stop suffering, it multiplies it. Mary and Joseph become refugees, hiding in Egypt. Franz Kafka wrote, "The meaning of life is that it stops." Christmas affirms that. God becomes mortal, which means God becomes someone who will die. You've prayed for someone to survive, and they died anyway. You've begged for protection, and violence came anyway. And nothing happened. Not because God's absent, but because intervention isn't guaranteed. Presence is.
Humanity expects a Messiah who conquers. What arrives is a baby, powerless, destined to die. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "God is dead, and we have killed him." But he also wrote, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." Christmas inverts that. What doesn't make God stronger makes him weaker. Strength isn't the answer to suffering. Presence is. You can't fix the absurd by becoming powerful. You survive it by refusing to look away. Philippians 2 doesn't just describe weakness, it describes humiliation. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Humiliation isn't accidental, it's intentional. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." But Christmas adds something he couldn't see, that sometimes suffering is so total that thought itself collapses. And in that collapse, God chooses to be present, not to explain, not to fix, just to be there. Philippians 2 ends, "Therefore God has highly exalted him." People read that as proof the weakness was temporary, but that misses the point. The exaltation doesn't erase the kenosis, it validates it. God doesn't become weak as a trick, he becomes weak because that's how he chose to exist. The glory doesn't erase the cross, it confirms the cross was the point. Dostoevsky's Prince Mishkin stares at Christ's dead body and says, "Looking at that painting might make one lose one's faith, because it shows death, real death, a body broken, abandoned." Émile Chiron wrote, "It is not worth the bother of killing yourself, since you always kill yourself too late." Life itself is a process of dying. Christmas confirms that. God is born, which means God begins dying, and nothing about that is glorious.
Simone Weil wrote, "Affliction is anonymous before all things." Suffering doesn't care who you are, what you believe, how good you've been. And God doesn't exempt himself from it. That's the scandal of incarnation. Not that God becomes human, but that God becomes vulnerable. You stop expecting God to behave like a bodyguard. You stop treating faith like insurance. You start living without guarantees, without the illusion that the universe owes you anything.
Blaise Pascal wrote, "Man is only a reed, the weakest in nature, but he is a thinking reed." Christmas
shows God choosing to become that reed. Not the strongest force in the universe, the weakest. C.S. Lewis wrote, "Don't come talking to me about the consolations of religion, or I shall suspect that you don't understand." Christmas isn't consolation, it's confrontation. God doesn't owe you comfort, doesn't promise safety, doesn't guarantee faith will make life easier. What God offers is presence, and presence doesn't remove pain, it witnesses it.
Kierkegaard said faith is fear and trembling. Not confidence, not certainty. Fear because you're choosing to trust something you can't control. You stop waiting for the universe to make sense. You stop expecting justice to arrive on schedule. You live without guarantees, without contracts, without the illusion that morality earns rewards. And in that space, stripped of every comforting lie, something emerges. Clarity. The clarity to see the world as it is, to see God as He is, to live fully even when nothing is promised. God doesn't arrive as fantasy. He arrives as flesh, vulnerable, mortal, destined to suffer. And once you stop expecting Him to be anything other than that, you finally start to see Him, not as a rescuer, as a companion, not as a fixer, as a witness, not as someone who removes suffering, but as someone who chose to enter it. God doesn't fix anything. He just shows up, weak, mortal, powerless. And whether that's enough is a question only you can answer.